Hello, Internet. My name is Sir Lord, and today let's talk about the little things again, actually. So, today, instead of having little things be a way to show depth in a world, we're going to use little things in a different sense. Little things to show mastery. Now, you can use last week's video as an extent to show mastery of your craft, of your writing, of your world, and that's one way you can take it. But there's more to the little things argument than just the world. So let's say little things for the chef, right? For someone who cooks. Um, let's say you're making a themed cake, for instance. You are going to make the red solo cups, right? The classic solo cups. Well, most people would probably just make the little cups, do the little designs, and all the noticeable bits will be there. But a truly masterful chef will also put the copy or the recycle label at the bottom of the cup. They'll put all the little tiny insignificant details on the bottom of that cup. And that is how you show true mastery and dedication to whatever work it is. It's those little tiny insignificant things. And it's not just in terms of creation, it can also be in terms of how well you do your play your games, for instance. Let's take Pokemon cards, right? On I believe it was winter or fall of 2021, Full Grip Games had a Gym Leader Challenge tournament. And in the final round, the match that decided the victor, who won the entire tournament, was two phenomenal players playing against each other. One was on a grass deck, one was on a colorless control deck. For those who don't know, it's just different archetypes. But the point is, the control deck is trying to remove, limit, and press resources in order to stall out and get a victory via deck out or whatever other condition that there may be in the game at that current time. So, with that being said, it is up to the grass player to figure out how to optimize and maximize their resources. And I can't remember the player's name who was playing the grass deck, but beautiful play on him was to hold all the cards that could be considered liabilities, weaknesses, something that would press his resources if his opponent forced him to play those cards, which Pokemon has, and he was trying to do repeatedly, the colorless control player. So he cleverly held them until the right moment and shuffled them all to the bottom of the deck, making them practically untouchable and unseeable. And then he didn't shuffle his deck a single time. And in the grass deck, you can shuffle your deck extremely easily. You can search for a bunch of stuff. You have options to do that. But he knew what his win condition was. And that little tiny act led him to a victory at the end of the day. He was able to pull out the dub and get the grand prize by a small little insignificant play that most people probably didn't even notice. The Marnie, which is what the card is, put all his liabilities at the bottom of the deck, so even if the control player searched as hard as he could, he would have to go to obscene lengths saying, hey, you have to go search 20 cards deep in order to find these liabilities to put on my bench. And he did it. He knew his win condition, he crafted it, and he went for it. Most players probably wouldn't think of anything crazy like that. It's just a small little detail that lets you play to your outs and win. The little things can show mastery of a craft. It's not the big things. It's not always the big things. Of course, you need to be competent in all levels of the game. It's the small things that separates the good players from the great players. And you've probably heard that echoed in a bunch of other different topics. Sports, media, it's just the small little details that show that you're a master of whatever it is that you're doing. Speedrunners, they go for all these little tiny tricks And you're like, well, that only saves like 0.5 seconds. But if you're saving 0.5 seconds 6 times, well, then you're getting to 3 seconds and then 5 seconds or 6 seconds. Like, it adds up over time. And being consistent at having all these little things in addition to all these massive components, that's what puts you ahead. That's what makes you a champion. That's what makes you the top of your game. That's what will win you competitions. That's what will win you customers. That's what will win you award. Like, that is what gets you places. Now, that is not to say focus entirely on the little things, okay? You do have to have a competency at everything of the big object or the bigger picture stuff. So let's look at Pokemon cards. Like, you have to have good deck building, or if you are not very good deck building, you need to know how to operate your deck to an efficient level where you don't need to worry about uh, basic plays. All right, you need to save and conserve your brain power for these higher level thinking plays and see a couple turns in the future. You can look at chess even. Chess is a game is kind of awkward because it's a computing game kind to an extent. It's a computing and seeing the line kind of game. There is no RNG in chess. You don't have to go for these risky strats or gambles in order to win. No, it is whether or not your opponent sees it, you see it, and how far ahead you are able to think. If you can really get the mind games in. So noticing the little details that your opponent prefers to do, that's what will win you a chess game. Even if there isn't like the even if their play is like really weird and erratic, if you are able to figure out their patterns, their habits, those little tiny tells that they have, you're going to be in a much better place. Same with poker, even. Finding out the tells, the poker face, all of that. It's the little things. The little things is what makes champions. But, like I said, and I know I'm harping on this, make sure you can do the rest of it. It doesn't matter if you can do the most complex combo on the planet if you're playing a fighting game. You have to be able to win neutral, which is just hitting them with an ability and then then you need to follow up with it. You need to get the combo or the confirms. You can't just be good at the hard stuff. You have to be good at all of it. There is no easy way. It's just getting very deep into these games and figuring out, hey, these are the things that you can do. Even if something seems completely irrelevant in most scenarios, like 99% out of the time, this is completely worthless and irrelevant and you shouldn't worry about it. Well, there is a 1% of the time that it might come in handy, and gaining that extra percentage point over the competition to completely change the outcome of a game, huge. Absolutely huge. Definitely something to consider once you get to that level. Now, of course, let's look at any kind of ELO system, ELO-esque. So, or like ranking system. So you have like the bronze, silver, gold, platinum, etc., etc. If you're struggling in bronze, for instance, that probably means you have a fundamentals issue and you aren't understanding greater aspects of the game. Yes, you can blame your teammates in whatever game it is. League, Dota, shooters, Counter-Strike, Rainbow Six. Like, yes, you can blame your teammates. But they are just as likely, and when I say they, your opponents are just as likely to have garbage players as you are. And if you are able to prey on them and win those matchups, because it should be 50-50. Actually, it should be swayed in your favor because you know you are guaranteed on your team every time. So if you are good, then that means you have 4 chances for bad teammates. Your opponent has 5. Statistically, it should be in your favor. If you're stuck in bronze, I'm sorry, you're bad. It's those little tiny plays that'll get you further and further ahead. Not these big, or it'll be the big things that get you further ahead. Either your mechanics, your aim, literally anything to help you out. Maybe it's your positioning if you're playing something like Apex or Counter Strike. Maybe it is your general team strategy, your build, like in League of Legends, for instance. It's got to be something a bit more on the fundamentals base. Your basics aren't there. You have to have your basics in order to build to these little things that'll win you tournaments. You got to start with the building blocks and go up. Now, some people will be better at the building blocks than you are. Some people will be worse. But you need to recognize when you need to focus on the building blocks and when you can start learning the more complex, crazy stuff or the obscure, weird, wacky stuff that might win you the game, the tournament. It's progression, time. Time is the biggest investment to any of these things, and you have to make sure you're utilizing it effectively. Because not all practice is good practice. You have to have effective practice as well. Well, that's all I got for you guys today. Let me know in the comments below what you think about the little things. Maybe give me some examples of like crazy tournament winning or like crazy little design details that blow your mind and you're like, this is some next level stuff. Let me know that in the comments. I'm actually very curious to hear different stories or like get an insight into different crafts or anything like that. My name's been Sir Lord, and let's talk about it. Peace.